Hello there and welcome back to Viewpoint Christian Academy for another Monday moment where we want to talk about all things Christian education. This is Thanksgiving week 2021, and during this 400th anniversary of Thanksgiving, we're going to have some reflective thoughts on the connection between Christian education and America's Thanksgiving, very first Thanksgiving. Stay tuned. I'm very excited about the 400th Thanksgiving celebration here in the United States. As a resident of the state of Massachusetts, I take great pride in the heritage of the original founders of my state, my home state, those Pilgrims that came back in 1621 and landed at Plymouth at that wonderful rock, and there established a colony. And the amazing story behind the establishment of that colony and how they became friends with the Native American tribes and Squanto and his connection, Samoset and Massasoit, and the fabulous unveiling of that story and how the hand of providence was so at work and bringing about something amazing. And then after their first year, when half of the pilgrims that had come had died, and from sickness and cold and all of these things. And then the next season when the natives came and helped them and gave them the ability to plant and to grow and the friendships that were formed and the camaraderie and just the amazing tale of how they celebrated for 3 days during that first Thanksgiving feast together and just gave thanks to the Lord for all that He had brought them through, had done for them, and was yet to do for them. 400 years. That's a long time to celebrate. And that's a long time to remember something. And it's just, my wife absolutely loves Thanksgiving. It's her favorite holiday of the year. Of course, my kids are partial to Christmas, but she loves the idea of Thanksgiving. And I think the idea of Thanksgiving, as it is uniquely American here in our country, is really special. It's not about commercialization. It's not, you don't even typically think, Valentine's, you got the cards and the chocolate, and Easter, the baskets, and Christmas, the gifts and all that. Thanksgiving is just about gathering together, having a meal, and giving thanks with your family around you. There's no commercialization that's really around it. You're not going to go out and buy a Thanksgiving card or a Thanksgiving gift, etc. It's just uniquely simple that we give thanks. Well, as I go back in history and I think about those original settlers that came back in 1621, those pilgrims, you can't help but remember the reason why they came and how it is important for us to actually emulate in our own lives today that courage that caused them to leave their homeland and come to this new place. And there were 3 reasons that history bears out as to why they decided they had to leave their homeland, their motherland in Europe, and come here and find a new place to establish. Those 3 reasons are, number 1, and we're most familiar with this one, religious freedom. At the time, the Church of England was not allowing the Pilgrims and the Puritans, as they were called at that time, they were not allowing them to worship according to the dictates of their own heart. And they were actually under persecution because they did not want to worship according to the guidelines of the Church of England. They wanted to follow their own form of worship and their own conscience in this matter. They were not allowed to legally to do so. And so they decided, we've got to do something about this. And so they separated from the Church of England. Now, the Puritans wanted to purify the Church of England. The separatists said, no, we need to just get away from them and do our own thing. And so first they were separatists, but then after they were separatists, they said, we've also got to leave. We have to get out of this country. And that's when they became the Pilgrims. So number 1, of course, we cannot deny it, was religious freedom. But we can't say that was necessarily the primary reason, because we know that these separatists first left England and went to Holland. In the Netherlands, they had religious freedom. The Dutch did not care how they worshiped. They did not try to dictate to them how they should worship God or believe, etc. And so they did have religious freedom while they were in the Netherlands there in Holland. However, 2 other reasons came up that caused them to say, no, this isn't going to work. So they decided we've got to go to the New World. And those other reasons were number 1, they were under extreme economic hardship. The economy in the Netherlands where they were at just wasn't working out, and they were really suffering from poverty. And they knew that this was not a good situation for them, and it was not sustainable, and they had to go someplace else where they could make a new start and be able to provide adequately for their families. But then the other reason that they could not stay in Holland, as history bears out and as the writers of the Pilgrim writers convey to us, was that they knew that the land of Holland, that Netherlands area, was so secular, and it was beginning to influence their children. Their children couldn't go to school because they were so poor, they had to go to work. And they were beginning to see the children deteriorate, not only because of that, but also because of the secular influences that were being imposed upon them in that land. And they realized, for the sake of our children, not only for the economy, but also for their own spiritual well-being, so that they would not be influenced to live the way of these people instead of abandoning their faith traditions. They said, we got to go find a new start in a new world. And so they left and they went to the Netherlands. See, this is really cool because I think that they were quite obedient to the scripture in placing their children as a priority. See, the Bible tells us in John, when Jesus rose from the dead, he went to Peter, who had denied Jesus 3 times. And 3 times Jesus asked Peter, Peter, do you love me? And the first time, Peter said, yes, Lord, I love you. And each time thereafter, whenever he answered, Peter would say, yes, Lord, you know I love you. I know I love you. And then after that, Jesus would give him this command. And he would say, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. And the command to demonstrate our love for the Lord is for, and this goes especially for parents, right, is for us to feed or to care for and to nurture our children, our little lambs. And these pilgrims knew that they had to feed the lambs. And where they were at was not working. Where they were at was contradicting the faith that they were trying to instill and the values that they were trying to promote into their children. And they said, you know what, we've got to go and find something else. We got to find another option. And they knew that if they put up with it, and if they just allowed their child to be degraded and to be influenced in that way, that would be problematic, because Jesus said, if someone causes one of these little ones to be offended and to stumble and to fall, it were better for them that a millstone were placed around their neck and they were thrown into the sea. They knew that God took this seriously, and so therefore they took the discipleship, the education, the training, the building up of a biblical and proper worldview into their children. They took it seriously. And so they had courage to leave everything they had, everything they were familiar with, everything they were comfortable with, and to go to another place, to find something, a better place for their families. You know what we need today? Pilgrim courage. Because, you know, if you look around at society today, if you look at the culture that's around, if you look at the modern educational system, whether it's secular university, and unfortunately in some ways, even some quote-unquote Christian universities, or if you look at the public education system or many of the other secular education systems and models, you have to scratch your head and wonder, just like the Pilgrims, how can I let my child stay in this environment? And they took courage and said, we're going to go find something better for our families. We need that same courage in our world today. Moms and dads, if you're connected with Viewpoint, it's because you've realized, I got to have something better for my child. I've got to take charge of the situation. I've got to move them into something different. We need Pilgrim courage. We need parents with Pilgrim courage today to say, I'm going to take charge of my child's development. I'm going to take charge of my child's discipleship and training. I'm going to find something better for them. And I'm going to go wherever I have to go to make it work. Hey, we need Pilgrim courage. And I'm so glad for you, moms and dads, especially the ones that are connected to Viewpoint and any other Christian school or any other program where you've decided, you know what? I've had enough of this secular system. I'm going to find something that's good and right and proper for my child. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for taking the leadership role in your home. Thank you for being just like those Pilgrims that said, we need something better for our families, and stepping out in faith and going and doing whatever it was needed, wherever you needed to go. God bless you. Hey, have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful week this week with your family and your friends. Eat a lot, enjoy the blessings, enjoy some time off from the regular routine. God bless you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it, spread the word around. We want to encourage people in regards to Christian education. God bless you. Have a great, great day. Happy Thanksgiving.